Hello and welcome to this Hadoop for Java Developers training course. I'm Matt Greencroft and I'll be your trainer on this course. I'm a developer based in the United Kingdom and I've been programming for the last 20 or so years. This is my third course for virtual pair programmers. We've worked hard to make this course the quickest and easiest way to learn Hadoop. We cover everything you need to know to become a confident and competent developer with the core Hadoop toolset. This is not just about understanding the framework and learning how to build jobs in Hadoop, but also about getting really comfortable with the way of thinking about processing tasks that Hadoop requires. By the end of this course, you should feel very confident that if a task can be done in Hadoop, then you will have the skills and knowledge to work out how to do it. The course assumes that you have some Java knowledge. If you have done Virtual Pair Programmer's Java's Fundamentals course, then you certainly have all the prerequisites you'll need. We don't assume you have any Hadoop knowledge at all of the concepts are explained. There are lots of examples that we're going to see in this course and 2 substantial case studies with reasonable amounts of data to process. These examples and case studies are all based on real-world scenarios and will therefore give you some great experience in writing realistic and production-quality Hadoop code. So I won't be talking about abstract concepts. Everything we will learn will relate to the examples that we'll see. In the course, you won't be listening to hours of lectures. Instead, you'll be writing, along with me, lots of Hadoop code. Our style is based on virtual pair programming. You will be actively writing code throughout the course, and in fact that's the best way to learn. I want you to imagine that you're sat next to me and that you can look at my screen at any point, but you're following along and recreating everything I'm doing in your own development environment. Many of the chapters have exercises in them for you to do, and model answers together with explanatory walkthroughs are included to help you see if you got them right. I'll be taking you every step along the way, including installing and configuring Hadoop and setting up your development environment so that you're ready to both write code and test it. If you are using a Mac or a Linux machine, this is going to be reasonably straightforward, but if you're a Windows user, I'll be encouraging you to set up a virtual machine running Linux for your Hadoop environment. But don't worry, because I'll show you in detail exactly how to do that, and you don't need to have any prior Linux knowledge in this course either. I'm assuming that you have a working computer with the Java Development Kit and the Eclipse IDE installed, but there are no other prerequisites for this course. All the software you need is either provided within the course materials, or I'll show you where you can download it from. Although Hadoop is a system for processing lots of data on lots of computers, you don't need to have access to lots of computers for this course. You just need a single machine to develop your code on. We'll test our code using a simulated network of machines, and we'll use a cloud-based Hadoop service to experience a production-style run. I'll be providing you with some code templates and lots of sample code in this course, and you'll be able to reuse these together with the code that we'll be writing throughout the course in your own applications. So make sure you have downloaded the practicals and code files for this course from the website. When you unzip this file, you'll see it contains 3 folders. The End of Chapter Workspaces folder has lots of sample code and model answers for the exercises. When you first study, I recommend that you work through each chapter in turn as the concepts build up in a logical order. But if you are revising a chapter in the future, you can use the End of Chapter Workspace from the previous chapter as your starting point for the code. The Starting Workspaces folder has additional files that you'll need for some of the chapters, including data files for the exercises, and the Guidance Notes folder contains some additional information that will help guide you through the exercises. At Virtual Pair Programmers, it's important to us that you complete this course successfully and that you finish the course with lots of marketable skills and experience in Hadoop development. If you get stuck at any point, then the best thing to do first is check the sample code in the End of Chapter Workspace and see if you can work your own way out of the problem. Please also check the errata on the website where we'll list any known issues, And I have a blog at mattgreencroft.blogspot.com, and I'll post any follow-up information about this course on my blog. We include links to any relevant blog posts on the website also. But don't stay stuck for days. If you need help with any aspect of the course material, you're welcome to contact us. Please do this through our website. You'll need to click on the contact link at the top of the page, then choose technical help. You'll need to log on if you haven't already, and then on this screen, select Hadoop from the drop-down list of the courses that you've purchased from us and fill in any of the detail below. You can copy and paste any error messages or stack traces in here, and you can even zip up and email us your files for us to look at. We do our best to respond to all requests for help within 2 working days. We can only help with the course topics. I'm afraid we can't help you design your own applications or fix problems in your own work projects, but for anything relating to the course materials, our support team will be happy to help. I'm going to now run through the key topics we'll be covering on the course. We start in Chapter 2 with an overview of what Hadoop is, and we introduce the concept of MapReduce, the Hadoop programming model. To help get a really good understanding of the MapReduce concept, in Chapter 3 we go deeper into the principles of MapReduce, and we write some standard Java code that simulates what MapReduce does. Before we install Hadoop, we talk about its operating modes in Chapter 4, and we get our environment ready for installation. If you're using a Windows machine, the second half of Chapter 4 walks through setting up a virtual machine running Linux and configuring this for Hadoop installation. We install Hadoop in Chapter 5 and also set up 2 configurations, one for development and one for testing. I'll be providing you with a number of scripts in this chapter, which will help you easily swap between the 2 configurations. In Chapter 6, we write our first genuine Hadoop MapReduce code. In Chapter 7, we introduce the Hadoop Distributed File System, known as HDFS, and we'll learn how to put data into HDFS, get data out of HDFS, and generally interact with the system. This allows us in Chapter 8 to run our jobs in pseudo-distributed mode, simulating a full deployment with lots of machines. In Chapters 9 and 10, we take a step back and start to look in more detail at the full MapReduce workflow. At this point, we start to understand more about how Hadoop works, and we'll be writing jobs that use some larger datasets. In Chapter 11, we learn how to enhance our code by using more of the Hadoop functionality, and we learn how to create our own Hadoop data types. Chapter 12 is all about how to configure a Hadoop job, and we'll learn about the file formats that Hadoop supports at this point as well. Chapters 13 to 15 cover our first main case study. I'll be setting you a challenge to build a number of Hadoop jobs using some data that I provide, and this will give you a chance to practice what we've learned so far. We'll be working further on the case study throughout the rest of the course. In Chapter 16, we'll learn how to run multiple jobs one after the other, and set up a code structure that automatically runs the jobs in the right order. Chapter 17 covers inserting any pre-processing or post-processing activities into our jobs, and in Chapter 18 we look at how to optimize our jobs to ensure they run in the quickest time possible. Chapter 19 is all about debugging, using log files and counters, and then in Chapter 20 we learn how to read and write to JDBC databases from Hadoop. Chapter 21 covers unit testing. We'll be using a set of Java libraries called MRUnit to create JUnit tests for our Hadoop code. And then in Chapters 22 and 23, we cover some of the more advanced topics in Hadoop, which allow us to join data together from multiple input sources. Chapters 22 and 23 are more advanced topics, and you could consider them as optional, maybe come back to them later on in your Hadoop career if joining data is not something that you need to do right away. In Chapter 24, we use a cloud-based service to run a Hadoop job in a production environment. We'll be using the Amazon Elastic MapReduce service, and I'll explain in detail how to configure and run your jobs using this service. And then Chapter 25 provides our second case study. This is a significant piece of work for you to do based on a real-world example use of Hadoop. You can expect to spend between 1 and 2 days working through this case study. In the final chapter of this course, chapter 26, I'll give you some suggestions of where to go next with your Hadoop learning, and in particular we'll mention a number of Hadoop tools and sub-projects which you might want to investigate. But there's quite a lot to get through before we reach this point, so let's get started. Coming up in chapter 2, we'll be introducing Hadoop, so I'll see you there.